hello, sparkly friends. I'm Ophelia Flame, headmistress of the Twin Cities Burlesque Academy, and I have a very special friend here with me today. Oh no, it's you.
Special.
And visiting
Special
here in
friend.
mini special. It's a special friend. Visiting, came in for Pride and performed with Black Hearts Burlesque and taught a couple classes at the Academy.
I did.
I've been talking a lot about stage fright, sort of a taboo topic that it seems that a lot of people don't want to talk about. As I've been talking about it, shedding more light on it, it seems that a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, I can't believe that you would have stage fright." And as we were talking, you had a lot of great thoughts on stage fright, and I was hoping you would share some of those thoughts.
Yeah, I always think it's interesting that people...
Oh, by the way, my special friend is Jett Adore.
Hi, special friend.
This is Jett Adore.
Ding. I don't know if you saw that, but
I saw
ding
it.
on
Yeah,
my teeth.
it's sort of
and
was
on
blinding.
for my eye.
Yeah,
Ding.
it was a little.
I think it's interesting when people are amazed that, experienced performers, seasoned, they often call us.
They mean old hags.
Well, old hag,
Yes.
seasoned friends. I think it's interesting when people imagine that people they're used to seeing on stage, or even famous celebrities who are used to being on stage all the time, or performing for people, or being in front of people, they think, I could never do that. You hear that all the time. I could never do that. I could never get up in front of people. I could never certainly take my clothes off in front of me, all this stuff. And then they think there must be something about you that makes it such where you were easily able to do that from the beginning. And the truth is really, I think, that almost all the time, my experience from hearing from people is that everybody has had to find a way to deal with what we call stage fright, at least in the beginning. I mean, and still there's sort of ways you learn to manage it, but that doesn't mean it ever really ever goes away. And I hear people talk about that perform all the time for a living, all the time, that's what they do, that say they still all the time experience immense stage fright. They just learn how to
deal with it, right? Yeah. It seems like there's certainly longevity there. It eases in time, but I think that it's work. It takes work, just like any
and
part of your
everybody has
craft.
to figure it out for themselves. I always think that a lot of it, the hardest thing to talk about that doesn't feel like it's much of comfort, is that it just takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time, and it takes trusting yourself, because what are we afraid of? What is the stage fright a fear of? I think that's interesting too. We talked about that, about how like people think it's this sort of condition that just explains itself. It's stage fright. It's this thing that people have before they go on stage, and they don't try to figure it out beyond that.
Yeah. It's just sort of a declaration without any direction.
Right, and it can be different for different people, but you have to figure out what it is you're afraid of. I think most people are afraid of doing something that will embarrass them, or doing something that they didn't plan to do, or the unknown. It's the unknown, what they're afraid of. And the more afraid of that in life we are, the more intense it's going to be when we're getting ready to do something we think is important in front of a lot of people. There's always a chance in life, every moment of our life, that something unexpected will happen to us that we weren't prepared for, or that we might say something stupid, or that we might do something stupid, or that a fly will go in my nose right now. Whatever it is, we're not in control of our lives. So when we think, okay, now I've prepared this thing that I want to be this perfect thing, and it's very important that I do it the best in front of someone, then the pressure is so high, because all of those things we're always a little worried about in the back of our mind, maybe that will happen. Now it's so much more of a danger, because you don't have control over everything. I think it's learning to trust yourself. The more you get in front of people, the more unexpected things do happen, because they always do. Sometimes it's little enough that the audience doesn't know any different. Sometimes you fall flat on your face, break your nose, and just have to deal with it.
It's happened.
Right.
I didn't break my nose, but
Yeah.
it's happened. And that's the thing too, is I think it's we set ourselves up for this expectation. We have this idea of perfection, which is unattainable, which is what makes us freak out because we think we're going to fail or make an ass of ourselves.
Yeah.
And as we talked about too, like for me, my measure of success is really to be as present as possible. It's not about hitting all my choreography and all my
Right.
steps. It's about being as engaged with the audience as well as feeling connected, right?
Right.
And so as we talked a lot about that in your Secrets of Stage Presence class, and I think that that's an important element, as well as just sort of like the liberation. It's really freeing, isn't it, to be like, you know what, if I fucking fall on my face, then I fall on my face and I'll make it funny, or I'll make it like
Right.
people want you
can
to
use
succeed.
it.
Right.
You use the unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of it too. Well, you're talking already about, I think, two components about, well, first it's acknowledging that you have to kind of learn to trust yourself over time, and you have to give it time. So you find a process that works for you to just get yourself out there on stage. What's the process you can use? And you talk a lot about that in your course, which is helpful. Because it sometimes is intense, really intense, debilitating. And sometimes it's not so bad.
Yeah.
And you can learn how to, so there's a process. There's also the just sort of being patient, to wait over time as you get in front of people, as you learn to trust yourself that, yeah, when things happen that I don't expect, I'm able to work through it. That for me has been the biggest thing, honestly. I struggled with it for a long time until finally I just sort of realized a lot of terrible things have happened to me on stage where I've just completely felt really disappointed about it.
Yep.
But I was able to work through it, and it wasn't a disaster, and somehow or other, I've just learned to be able to trust myself more to do that. So then you're also talking about, well, you can develop a process. It's individualized, but people that understand it, like, you can give people a head start.
Yeah.
About what can work for you,
Right.
to get yourself on the right foot, how to think of what to think about, and how to set yourself up before you get out there.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest part. A lot of times people say once they're out there, they're fine, or it diminishes because you're so focused that you don't have room for that
Right.
obsession about what's going to happen. It's the getting to that point that can build and build and build.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think it has a lot to do with self-reflection and self-discovery. I know for me, I'm talking about the difference. Like it's actually good to be a little bit nervous. It sort of keeps you sharp.
Absolutely.
I've talked about this before, but I'm talking about like debilitating shit that just is like taking you out of your focus and even having fun. There's physiological symptoms, there's insecurity, there's all of those buttons that can be pushed.
Yeah.
That if it's affecting you, and I think you have to do some self-reflection, and you have to do some self-discovery, and say like I've used this example before, and when I teach my class Calm the Fuck Down, I talk about
I
how
love that title.
I know. It's aptly named for a burlesque
Calm the
audience.
fuck down.
Calm the fuck down. Truth is, that really came from like saying that to myself. Oh my God, calm the fuck down. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I really was sort of uncomfortable. I had to say, like, really deconstruct my own behavior, and then look at other people's behavior as well. Not from a judgmental stance, but from a judgmental place, but more of a place of sort of compassion. Like, where before I'd be like, geez, this person is driving me fucking nuts backstage, right? I mean, come
Right.
on, we've all been there, right?
Well, because it's
but
contagious,
why is
that kind of energy,
yes. So like, I talk a lot about how sometimes excessive talking is something that happens a lot in a backstage environment that can be really stressful and contagious, that is a result of stage fright or anxiety that is just sort of can be really unpleasant for everybody. That's just sort of like idle chatter that is just feels like it's meaningful, but it's really, you're just really depleting your energy, and you're also taking from other people. So, those things, so sometimes, like, as I said in my own self-reflection, I would oftentimes just during the day of a show, I would be so anxious that it would sort of infiltrate into every other life aspect, where I would just be a bitch, just sort of terse and short and have very little patience. And the worst part is that as we often do, the people that we love the most are the people that get the horns, and so it would be like, I'm too busy for this, I can't do that. And so I have learned through my own self-reflection of how to really do that work and make some big steps, because it sucks to feel that way.
Yeah, because however unrational it is, if you do break it down, the intensity of that fright is very, very high. I mean, I think it's been talked about too, how like physiologically why we get the dry mouth and all these other symptoms.
It's that fight or flight.
Because the body thinks
there's a lion coming for you.
It's like life or death danger.
Yeah.
That's how intense the fear is. It's irrational. It is irrational, if you ask me, because what's the terrible thing that could happen?
But it's the brain that is pushing that, and if you continue to foster that, where you're like, your brain thinks, it is the equivalent of a lion chasing you. And if you're fostering that, I call it working yourself into a froth.
Right, because
you're like,
you
oh my
keep
God, I'm
going
so
over
nervous,
it in
I'm
your
so
head.
nervous, I'm so
nervous. Sometimes people think the way to calm it is to keep thinking about and keep thinking about their act and keep thinking about what they're going to do and keep solidifying it and drilling it and going over it. To me, that does not work at all. I don't want to be thinking about what I'm about to do on stage, not the day of.
No.
I want to feel really good about it before the day of.
Yeah.
So that my process getting ready to get on stage is about actually focusing on making myself feel rather still and open and receptive, and let's see what will happen. And I like to do my best. There's a sort of delusional trick that I have about deciding I'm not nervous, that I'm really excited.
Yeah. That's
because in life, those feelings can feel about the same. If you think about it as being excited about something very important that you've been looking ahead to for a long time, it's important. It matters a lot to you, but you can't wait to do it, finally.
Right.
It's so much about our inner dialogue, and we do have control over that.
It is.
And to me, it's about breathing through those moments where you're like, yeah, fuck, but I'm scared about it. Just breathing through that and learning the reflex of saying, yeah, but this is actually really exciting. And figuring out, what do I need in those moments? Do I need to take a deep breath? Do I need to do some stretching? Do I need to listen to some music to ease that? Or do I need to kind of pump myself up and give myself just a little moment of, but this is going to be fun too. Like all these ideas that I came up with, and I love that part with that costume or that. I love this music. I can't wait to just get out there with this. When this music goes, I know this crowd is gonna, whatever you can attach to that gets you excited. And it's a trick. I've learned more to notice those things that get me excited in an act. Because I'm not even the kind of person who feels like the word fun is the right word when I talk about what I do. Like, do you have fun? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Fun is not usually the right word. There are moments when I'm on stage or when I'm doing the work, I feel fulfilled. I feel there are things that I get excited about, though. That's how I talk about it. So I want to really notice those things along the way, because then I can pull those things out when I'm feeling like, oh shit. And then I can remember oh yeah, but I made this thing. Of course I want people to see it, so I can't wait.
Right.
That's part of it. And part of it too, what you hinted on about how we think of the audience. Because the audience is, this can be disputed in some political arenas and things like that, but our audiences already love us before we come out. They want to.
Yeah, burlesque audiences definitely want you to succeed. Yeah, for sure.
They're totally on your side. So you can think of that in so many different ways. That you're walking out to your best friend, that you're walking out, whatever it is, whatever works for you to comfort you, to make you feel like you can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
I have learned to live in a delusional place.
You?
I just believe what I want to believe.
Well, I have been talking a lot about that too, about in class about using your inner dialogue, and I love that you do as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a huge tip, and to say, because, though using excited is more empowering, where I
Yeah.
feel like saying I'm so nervous is really takes all your power away. It implies that there's a vulnerability you can't get beyond. And so
Right.
saying excited, even if you're fucking fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited, I'm so excited, I'm so excited,
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
But also
soon enough will change.
And what you're talking about too, how you can get yourself used to, well, it's about sort of wanting to become more receptive to the idea of, I wonder what's going to happen. And I hope something I don't expect might happen.
Yeah, a sense of wonder is much more interesting than
So looking for that, like
Yeah.
desiring to be surprised maybe a little bit, takes that fear away, because that's what we're afraid of, is what if something unexpected happens? What if we don't do that thing that we plan to do and instead we screw it up, right? Well, but something will happen unexpected, because we don't, a little thing, maybe, where it gets us in our head a little bit, like anything. You take a breath and you choke on your spit, or whatever it is. It's
Glamorous.
like, there's going to be something in that 3, 4, 7, 10 minutes that you're on stage, guaranteed. It's not going to go like, oh, so perfect that you leave the stage and you're like, I can't even remember what happened, but all I know is I did it perfect.
I didn't choke on my spit.
When in the world is that? Right. Every time something will happen. So you need to, the only way to be okay with that, I think, is to learn to say, I know something unexpected will happen. Let's have fun with it.
Right.
Won't that kind of be excited about seeing what will happen?
Yeah. I always say that, while I want, for myself and my fellow performers things to always go as planned, the truth is when they don't, that's when it gets exciting, like you said.
Sometimes the
Like,
most brilliant moments come from that.
When I see someone on stage, I suddenly, it's like, I'm not judging people like Simon
Don't
Cowell.
judge me. Oh.
I'm judging you. I'm not judging other people on stage.
Okay.
But, that's sort of like, what? Like when something goes wrong, it's like, oh, I get, when a zipper's not coming, like, I
Yeah.
want to see, like, that's where
Yeah.
it becomes really interesting
And
to
you
me,
can
even
use
as a
it.
viewer. I'm not
And you
thinking
can
like,
make-
oh, there's zippers not working.
Right.
I want my money back.
Right. No,
No,
of
I'm thinking
course
like,
not.
come on, you can do it. And then
Of course.
that time, how many times has something gone wrong on stage?
Triumphant.
Triumph.
More triumphant than if it would have come off easy peasy.
Right,
We
yeah.
don't care then, but you can make it instant. And the
So
and you
moral
can
of the
use
story,
the
if
audience.
shit fucks up, consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, use it. Use it. If shit fucks up, consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, there's some real advice right there. Ding. Do I have a ding? Ding.
Yeah, I saw it.
Was it here? It
It
was
was
here.
out of your nostril.
Yeah. Okay, let's conclude. I want you to tell me a joke.
Oh gosh, I'm so bad at jokes.
Are you?
Even when I'm trying to be funny, I'm bad.
I didn't tell you I was
No.
going to ask you for a joke.
Oh, I've got a really good joke. Do you know why you never see elephants hiding up in the trees?
Why?
Because they're really good at it. They're really good at it. Can't even see them.
I have a joke for you.
Yeah.
I hadn't planned on telling it. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, I
It's
do.
my favorite. It's like my only one joke.
Okay, this is gonna be good.
Okay.
This-
Okay, ready. Okay.
Don't screw it up.
Not
though.
nearly as good, but then I will receive it as a gift, as my screwing up of the joke. Okay. So did you hear about the study they were doing on how dogs are like their owners?
I heard about that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
well, they
know.
had a doctor's dog, an architect's dog, and a stripper's dog.
Okay.
And with each dog, they set a pile of bones in front of them to observe their behavior.
Pile of bones.
Pile of bones. Doctor's dog built a skeleton. Architect's dog built a house.
Makes sense.
Stripper's dog crushed up the bones, snorted them, fucked the other two dogs, and called in sick for 10 days.
So what are you saying about strippers?
I'm saying, they're my people! Anyway, thank you for chatting.
I've had a great time. I
Me
love
too.
you.
I love you back. Mwah.